on all the features in my giving a quick tutorial on all the features in my open sourced Advanced UniformHandler. Alright, so getting right into it, this video is going to be divided into a couple sections. Basic setup, how to do CFrame settings, how to do regular settings, including whitelisting and blacklisting, and all the other settings in that module, and then how to do uniform settings, which is what most people are actually going to be using this for. But just in the interest of being comprehensive, all of that's going to be there. I'm going to do my best to timestamp where each section begins, and you can check that out in the description. So please check that if not in the entire video is applicable to you, that way you're not wasting your time. I'll also include a link to the most updated version of the uniform handler for reference. Alright, so basic setup. The first step you want to do is open your toolbox and insert the open sourced Advanced Uniform Handler. Alright, that's here. I'm going to put it in server script service because that's for scripts, and workspace is better suited for parts and things like that. Alright, now what I have to do next is I create a folder in server storage, this, and I name it CFrameModels. Now spelling is very important, and so is capitalization. So capitalize the C, the F, and the M, just like proper capitalization but no spaces. Alright. And this is where you're going to put any models that you want to act as uniform items that you're CFraming to the player. The cats, stuff basically not in the catalog that you want to act as accessories. And after that, you're done. That is basic setup. That's all you have to do. What I'm going to cover next is CFrame Settings, which is one of the most more confused aspects. And I'm going to break it down and show you how simple it all really is. Alrighty, this begins the CFrame Settings section. So what I'm going to do is first I have, say, my model that I want the player to get, and this is infantry pack. I want people to just be able to wear this pack, access it, blah, 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 whatever you want to use it for. Alright, so first of all, most important thing, double check your game settings. So if you want this to happen in R6 or R15, that's very important for you to note because the body parts do change. So I'm going to set this to R6 right here, and boom, double checking. Yeah, avatar type is R6. Now, like I said, the reason it's just important to check R6 or R15 is because the body parts are actually named very different things, depending on what you're using, and that could be one of the reasons why the script is breaking when you think it should be working, even if you have everything set up properly. Alright, after you've double checked your game settings, you're going to set this up as a model. Now, in the CFrame settings, as you can see, there are a couple ways that you can go about this. You can set it up as a model, or you can set it up as a mesh part. Most people use models, which is why I'm going to cover that. I assume if you're using mesh parts, you know what you're using, you know what you're doing, and there are offset and exact CFrame configurations there for you if that's the case. I would recommend you do model. It's simpler, it's a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to configure. So that's what I'm just going to cover here. Now, in case you want a textual description of what we're doing, just check the script. There's instructions written here. I do my best to try to explain it, but this is definitely going to be more thorough, and it's going to show you literally how to set everything up. Okay, so first thing you want to do, you're going to click the model, and you need to make sure the primary part is set, and a lot of people get confused by this. So the primary part, you can view that in the properties model. As you can see right now, it's blank. We're going to set the primary part to the part that essentially we're going to reference that we want to match up to the body part that we're putting this on. So as you can see here, there's a part called middle, and it looks like it aligns really, really nicely with where the player's torso is going to be. Now, most people who make CFrame models, or most models that you're using too, will have something in there, and they're usually named like middle, or they're named the body part that they're supposed to be attached to. Now, if you're just setting these up for your own individual scripts, it might be different, but for the sake of uniformity, this one just requires that you put this as the primary part, and that's very, very simple to do. So I'm just going to click the model, click the primary part, just going to click middle, like that, and boom, it's set. No other work's required on my part. We're completely done. After that, I'm just going to move this, I'm going to drag this over into our CFrameModels folder. Boom, it's in there, perfect. And now in CFrame Settings, I'm going to make the name of this infantry pack, because that's what it's called. And the body part that I want this to go on is torso. And boom, that's literally all the setup you have to do. So CFrame settings, very, very simple, very easy. I just think a lot of people get confused. So just double check, make sure you're doing everything I'm showing you in the tutorial, and you should be good to go. Alrighty, this is the settings portion. This is not uniform settings, this is just the basic settings module. Now, what I'm going to cover here is whitelisting, blacklisting, and then a couple of the team controls, which are pretty simple. I'm just going to explain those ones. I'm not really going to demonstrate them. Okay, whitelist. Very, very simple. You can either type the player's name, so I have my name typed in there, or you can put their user ID, and I have mine right there too. Okay, let's break this apart. So for teams, if I set this to all, it's going to apply no matter what team I'm on. Now, maybe I don't want that to happen. Maybe I have a team called Army and a team called Civilians, and I only want people's whitelisted appearances to happen when they're on the Civilians team because, you know, I want them getting their Army uniform when they're on the Army team. Very simple. Rather than putting teams here, I will just replace this with two squiggly brackets like this, and then I put the name of the team that I don't want that I want the whitelist to apply to, like Civilians, just like this, and boom, I'm done. Now, if I wanted multiple teams for the whitelist to apply on, I just add a comma and type in like team 1, another comma, team 2. And now if I were on a team called Civilians, or a team called team 1, or a team called team 2, the whitelist would work. But because I just want this for the sake of example, I'm just going to leave it as all. Alright, now one of the best features about this is just the simplicity of how this works. So shirt ID and pants ID, a lot of people have a lot of trouble getting template IDs. They have to use external sites, APIs, blah, 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 and it ends up being a lot more work than it used to be because you used to just be able to, you know, subtract 1 from the asset ID and you have the template ID, and that's just not the case anymore. So what this script does is it tries to make it as simple as possible for you. So right now I'm going to paste a shirt and a pant right there. That's the links as they would appear in your browser. That's all you need. As you can see, there are numbers in here. You're just going to take the number like this and paste it in. That's all you have to do. Don't worry about finding the template. The script does it for you. That's literally all you have to do. Super simple. Just take the number, paste it in. Okay. Now accessories. These are for accessories that are in the Roblox catalog that I want to apply to my character. Same thing, just take the number, I'm just going to paste it in. And these ones are inside the squiggly brackets, or table, if you know what that means. But I'm just going to assume that anyone watching this tutorial has zero knowledge of scripting and I'm going to explain it as such. So just like that, I'm just going to paste the number in. And if I want to apply more, I just comma, type more in, comma, type more in, whatever. And the one I typed there was Roblox Classic, Beautiful Hair for Beautiful People. Alrighty, and then CFrameModels. And just to prove that our settings worked before, I'm going to type infantry back. Because that was, as you can see, that's the name in the server storage, CFrameModels. And that's how we set it up in the CFrame settings. See, infantry back right there. Alright, and then since this isn't set up, that's just an example. I'm just going to delete that. And now to show you that this all works, I'm just going to run the game. Or their name, the body part that they're supposed to be attached to. Boom, as you can see, my appearance has been changed. I'm wearing beautiful hair for beautiful people, which I wasn't wearing before, and now I'm wearing this shirt. Perfect, very easy, very simple. The whitelist works perfectly, all you have to do. Alrighty, now that the whitelist has been covered, I'm going to cover how the blacklist works. So just important note, first of all, if someone is in the whitelist and they are also in the blacklist, the script will look at the whitelist first. That is the priority. So if you're, if you're confused why your blacklist isn't working, make sure you aren't also whitelisted. That can be a very common mistake. So what I'm going to do right now, since I'm currently whitelisted, I'm just going to delete these. We find there's no one in the whitelist. It's perfectly okay. And let's break apart how the blacklist works. So just like with the whitelist, I can either put my name or I can put my user ID. Either works. It's fine. If all is set, the uniform handler will not make any changes to their appearance. So if it's set as all, nothing is going to happen. Nothing will be changed about them when the script runs. Alternatively, I can put the group IDs like this. So say I was in group 1, group 2, group 3. Those are the IDs of them. And the player will be excluded from getting the uniform for these groups. And those are referencing groups that are set up in uniform settings, which we'll cover in the next section. So for example, if you have someone who maybe owns 20 groups, like they're just the group holder, and you really only want them to be getting groups from maybe one of them, you can just put all the other 19 that you don't want them to get like this. 1, 2, 3, if you want more, comma 4, comma 5, all of that, you just put them in there like that, and they will not get any uniforms that are set up for those group IDs. They will only get the ones that they are in, set up, and not those that you're explicitly denoting here. And just a reminder, if you put all, they will not get anything. So I'm really not going to test that right now because it's pretty self-explanatory, but you can always test it yourself by, setting uniform settings for a group you're in and then showing that it doesn't work. Okay. All right, last but not least, in the settings, we have team controls. Now this is formatted a little weird, so I'm going to definitely make sure to walk through this. Okay, so what you're going to do is here, you put the name of a team. Say civilians, like we were going with before. Same here, Army. I'm going to say, just for sake of example, Navy. So in this part, you're going to put the name of the team, okay? And you don't touch this part, you just leave that, and we're just going to work with the part behind the equal sign. So civilians, apply uniform, none. Set this to none if you don't want the uniform to run when the players are on the team. So for example, if I have players in the Army, and there's an Army team set up, and I don't want them to get uniforms at all when they're on civilians team, this might be the feature I want them to have, okay? Alright, now Army, for example. This one says whitelist, and you might be confused because we had a whitelist up there, and as you can see, there's a blacklist, and we had a blacklist up there. So for Army, what this might do is if I put a whitelist, it will only check if I'm in these groups when it's running the uniform, when it's running the uniform handler. So this is also useful. Think about if you're a group handler, or if you're a group owner. Now, you own the Navy groups, you own the Marine groups, you own the Army groups. Now, if you're on the Army team, you probably don't want the Navy uniforms to be appearing. So by doing this, I can type Army as the team and only have maybe the Army groups. So maybe I have a regiment or something, or I have a battalion, and there are different uniforms for that, and I have a main Army group. And it's okay if I get a uniform from one of those groups, but I don't want a Navy uniform to happen. Then I type whitelist and just type the ones I want there. And when I'm on the Army team, I will only get the uniforms from those teams, from those groups if I'm in them and have the ranks that are set up. Alright, now you can kind of guess how blacklist is going to go. Blacklist works pretty much in the inverse, okay? So as you can see, when the player is on the team but do not want to apply the uniforms for these groups. So Navy, if these are Army groups, I will not get the uniforms from those teams. Now you don't really need to do like Army whitelist and Army blacklist. You can probably get away with just doing the whitelist and just doing the blacklist, because there's also priority in the main uniform settings, which I will get to later. But this is also useful just depending on your circumstance, depending on how you want to set this up. So just to review that, if I type none, they will get nothing from the uniform handler. Nothing will run, 0, except whitelist. Whitelist always supersedes. So whitelist up here will supersede. If I do whitelist, they will only get groups that are set up if they're in those group IDs that subsequently follow. Blacklist is the exact opposite. Alright, that concludes the main settings portion. Last is the uniform settings. Alright, last but not least, we have uniform settings, and this is probably the most important one. This is the one that most people are going to be interacting with. So first of all, put the group ID here. So I'm just going to make an example. I'm going to use the group ID for City of Boston. So I'm going to put it in like this. Boom. That's the group ID for City of Boston, and now I is 170 developer. I type it in there. As we covered before, shirt ID, you're just going to take the shirt ID as it appears in the catalog, right? So just a reminder, if I have a link like this, I'm going to put this number in there, no changes. Just type that number in. And just to show you before, I'm going to put the pants that we used before as well. Just going to copy that link in right here. Accessories, the same as we set up before. So as you can see, there's already some catalog accessories put in there, and if you remember from earlier in the video, you'll be able to see that those are actually added once I'm in there. And then CFrameModels too, literally the same as we set up with the whitelist. So I can put infantry back, because we set that one up before. And boom. Now I can also set remove accessories. This is true if you want players to join and you don't want them to keep the accessories they had before, and only have the ones that you're specifying here, so only those accessories, you want to set that to true. If not, set it to false. And then remove packages. This is also pretty self-explanatory. Set it to true if you don't want people joining with like Robloxian 2.0. Just set it to false if you don't want them to remove package. Set it to true if you want it to happen. I know a lot of groups like stuff like that, so I included that there for them. So just to show you that this is also running, City of Boston, rank 170, that's me. Gonna play this thing, just take the number, Sorry about that, guys. I forgot to remove myself from the blacklist, so the script wasn't working. Deleted my blacklist entries, and now let's run it again. And if I wanted to apply more, I would just comma, type. Boom. Look at that. Character appearance completely changed. I've got these nice catalog accessories. I've got the infantry pack, monocle, saber, new uniform. This is what we want. This is what the script looks like when it's working well. Okay. So the rest of it's pretty self-explanatory, honestly. So I'm setting up new ranks, for example. You just do it the same way at 190. Put the shirt IDs in. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is. You just set it up like that. And you fill as much as you need. Okay. I'm going to cover two last things. The first of these is GetRankFrom. Okay. So many groups will have like a main army group where you have your rank. So, private through general, blah, 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 blah. And they have a lot of subgroups. So maybe they'll have a subgroup called like the 1st Regiment and another one called like the 2nd Regiment for creativity's sake, I guess. And people don't want to spend, money buying all the ranks for these ones. So they really want to get their ranks from another group. So if you're in this 1st Regiment, you want to get maybe the sergeant outfit. So what I do here is I said get rank from, and I set it to true, and put this as the ID of your army group, for example. And now it's going to check to see if they're in this group. So say this is their 1st Regiment, that's the group, it's a subgroup. Checks to see if they're in the 1st Regiment, but it's going to get the rank from the main group that you put here. And then it's going to go through the whole process, and it's going to check here. So say, General was rank 170, and I'm in the subgroup. It knows I'm in the subgroup, checks, gets my rank in the main group. I'm 170, and it's going to give me all this stuff here. Pretty simple. It's not very complicated. Y'all probably get what I mean. And if I don't want this to apply, just put it to false, and you can leave this as whatever. If the script will not read this, it doesn't matter. If this is a string of ones, or an actual group ID, it literally doesn't matter. This is the most important part. So if it's true, put the group ID that you want it to get the rank from. If it's false, just leave it be. Just type false and leave it be. Alright, last but not least, this system uses ranked priority. So if, say, you're the group holder and you're in 20 groups and you've set them all up here, if you want to be in one group, if you want to get the uniform for that, put it at the top. And the script will search through this first, okay? So, if, say, you want to get the one from an elite subgroup, and that should be the uniform people get first, put that at the top. If you want your main group to be the one people get only if they're not in any other group, put it at the bottom. All sorts of stuff like that, just arrange it how you want. It's very, very simple, but it's designed to give you as much flexibility as possible. Alright everyone, with that being said, that is the uniform handler pretty much explained with as much detail as I can. You'll probably realize it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it, but people get confused, understandably so. It's a big script. So one last thing, when testing this, when adding to it, I really, really, really recommend that you work in chunks. Okay, so say you're doing whitelists, set up your whitelist for one person first and just make sure it works. Just test it, because sometimes if you just try to charge in, do the entire script yourself, and only test at the end, you're going to have a lot of confusion wondering if something's not working. Because if something doesn't work, you don't know where you messed up. So I really, really recommend chunking it, going step by step, and just breaking it apart. Otherwise, if there are any bugs that you find with this, please let me know. I'll put my Discord in the description, as well as the Discord invite link for the server where this is hosted, where there's a bunch of other open source technology for the Colonial Napoleonic community, or really anyone who needs it. So please give that server a join, and if you have any questions, any bugs, any feedback, please by all means send that to me. Have a great day. Thanks.